So today I am going to do a no floral foam arrangement. Got some beautiful spring flowers, the sunshine is beaming outside, so this is good to go. Just going to talk you through it, the vase, the pillow that I have in the middle, the mechanics and all that kind of stuff. So just a really helpful arrangement to look at, because the use of no oasis is getting more and more prevalent for florists, and there's more and more interest. I think God bless David Attenborough is all I can say. Anyway, I'm going to get cracking and we'll see how we go. So I have, as you can see, I've got a pillow in the middle here. So this is designed by Holly Hyder, a chapel designer extraordinaire. She's an incredible woman. She's designed essentially what we would use as chicken wire. We would put chicken wire in here. She's created different sizes of pillow that we can use. So I've literally just slotted this in the bottom of this low sort of dish. I've then put a circle of this is kind of, I'm not quite sure, we buy it in big wads in the wholesalers. It's just like a twiggy sort of birchy material that's just really flexible. So I've just wired it in. You can see there's a green wire here. I've attached it to the pillow just to kind of hold it in place. But I kind of like the fact that it's sort of airy. It gives movement to the arrangement, which is really nice. So I've cut some foliage from, actually all of this foliage is from my garden, which is quite nice. I'm trying to expand the sort of range of foliages that I have. There's a chocolate brown pittosporum. I'm just putting some, oh, it smells lovely, lavender foliage in. And the brilliant thing about this pillow is that it holds everything in place, which is wonderful. So there's no movement. So with the larger style containers, you can literally pop it in and not worry. So I'm doing a kind of covering of foliage first, and then I'll put flowers in afterwards. And this is just a really easy arrangement to do. You could have this for the dinner table. You can have this as a reception, as a wedding reception. This could be an arrangement. But it is just a lovely container to work with. And you can see nothing's moving, literally. And at the end, I'll be able to pick this thing up. I'll be able to transport it out of the container and everything will stay in place. So it's a brilliant mechanic to have. I've got this skimmer. I'm just gonna chop it down a bit. Also just got little bits of jasmine. It's coming into flower. Quite pretty. Just to have it trailing out the edge. I've actually managed to keep my jasmine plant alive, which is fairly incredible. Right, last piece of jasmine. So, like I said, all of these foliages are from my garden. So pittosporum, there's lavender, there's eucalyptus, there's jasmine. I can never remember this, it's a Senecea family, but I can never remember the variety, but yes, it's a nice durable sort of foliage. So to play with, I think I'm going to start with ranunculus. These are beautiful, large-headed ranunculus. I'm a fan of texture. I just love all the different shapes, the different looks of things. So I've just put these beautiful ranunculus in, and move that jug out of the way. I forgot to mention I've also got some asparagus fern. Just for a bit more shape. I'm just going to strip the bottom stems off. You don't want them in water. And I think I was doing a workshop on last weekend, and one of the things that one of the florists who came on the course said to me was, it's just so nice to have a play. And I think with an arrangement like this is me playing, this is me experimenting, this is me just being able to enjoy seeing where the flowers go. So I'm not particularly thinking much about where I'm putting things, it's just seeing what the shape turns out to be like. And I think it's really important to do. Because so often as a florist I think you're doing stuff that's very prescriptive. You're doing what other people want and people want for their events and stuff. But actually sometimes it's nice just to see where the spirit moves you, as my mother would say. Right, so I've got these creme de la creme roses. They are just a bit lovely. They're a week old now, so they're open fabulously. So I think I'm going for a kind of grouping effect, which is working out quite nicely. And we've got these scabious. These are gorgeous. And I think as well, with an arrangement like this, it's good to keep yourself turning, so keep it moving around so you can see what it looks like from side to side, not get lost with one side of the arrangement. And one thing as well that came from the workshop on Saturday, it was really interesting that we were making an archway and we put all of the foliage on and started adding the flowers. And I really had to kind of remind people that the flowers were the focal, and because people were some people had a quite sort of OCD tendency of making sure that the foliage and the flowers were all sort of one level, and you have to think these are beautiful, these need to be up front and centre, they need to be shown off. So important to remember that, and not to chop things down. Give things, a bit of height. That's quite nice. So I am quite a fan of how nothing is moving. Literally, I'm putting stuff in and it stays. It's incredible, which is brilliant. So well worth investing in these eggs. I'm going to put some more of this ranunculus in. I think, like I said about texture and foliage, texture and flowers is equally as important. The different shapes that you've got, the circles, I guess these are probably, I don't know, pom-poms, I'm not sure. And the flatter flowers, think about that in terms of what you use. Now, I'm just going to... Oops. Right, just wanted to move that clematis because it kind of dropped down slightly, and I want to get it sort of above and chop some length off. Yeah, so moving stuff around, it's I talked about it in the first tutorial we ever did, the hand tie one, for Young Blooms Flower School, and the ability to create a hand tie and then you know, you've put a flower in, you don't like its placement, so you should be able to move it, pull it out and put it back into where you want it to be. So things aren't just sort of locked into place. It's easier said than done. And it takes practice. But it's the same with this kind of thing. You should be able to move stuff around. This is really nice. Right, sorting through all my bits. It's never a tidy job, floristry. Okay. So I'm going to put another ranunculus in. Nice. And then I think roses here. And actually, when we talk about having a play, that it's nice to have a play with something that's a lot heavier in flower content, because I think so often we're having to be measured in what we're using because we've accounted for it cost-wise. But when you get to do something like this that's just bigger and slightly more extravagant, it's just a really nice, nice feel. I think I'm going to finish off with a couple of pieces of the clematis. And I think as well, when you're doing things like this, it's just the quickness of it. It can surprise you, the quickness of how you make it. Because I think you don't think about things so much. You can just enjoy what's happening, if that makes sense. It might not turn out to be something that's your usual style, but I kind of like it. Cool. Right. One more ranunculus. Nice. And maybe a rose just tucked. And then to finish, I don't know whether this will work, but I've got some wax flower. Just kind of poking bits in. And again with texture, this is just something I think that breaks things up a bit, that breaks the style of the arrangement up a bit. Because it's a smaller headed flower, it's quite delicate. It's nice. And also you can have bits slightly above that are sort of flying over the top, that don't dominate the arrangement but just add. I kind of make it slightly more interesting. By the end of it, you'll find it might be a bit trickier to poke things in, as you can see, because there's so much more. I'm going to do one more short rose here. So again, remember to sort of go round the edges and make sure Make sure that you've not got gaps. Right, there you go. I would say that's pretty cool. So the nice thing about using this birch sort of twig effect around the edge is that it hides a certain amount of mechanics, which is lovely. So I've done it quite quickly, not given a huge amount of thought to where things are going, just enjoyed the process. It's quite a heavy flower content sort of arrangement style, but it's just something different. It's just something a bit more interesting, away from my normal style, which is good. So I'm using the pillow, so the pillow is in the bottom, it's wrapped with twigs. Yeah, there you go. You see, I've pulled it out and it pretty much stays intact. You do need to, and I haven't, but click these two two pieces of the pillow together. They've come unclicked on one side. But the thing is, you could travel with that in a box and then fill the container up back at the venue when you get there, and then just pop it back in. So it's a perfect way, really, to do it. So if you've enjoyed this video, then do click and subscribe onto our channel. We're doing more of this sort of stuff, and if you've got comments about the whole no floral foam aspect, I'd be really interested to know how you're finding not using Oasis, how you're finding using different techniques. If you've got techniques that you want to share, then do, because I think collaboration is so much more important than competition. So definitely get involved with our YouTube channel, get involved with the Flower School, comment where you want to, and click and subscribe. So enjoy.